Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ever feel like your decisions could use a little, I don't know, a boost? Like you're playing checkers while those big-time venture capitalists are out there playing chess, making those high-stakes decisions.
It's true, those VCs definitely know a thing or two about making decisions in the face of uncertainty.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today, the venture mindset. We're going to decode how they spot those game-changing opportunities, make smarter bets, and really amp up their chances of success.
And the best part, you don't have to be in Silicon Valley to use these principles.
That's right. It's for anyone, really. So our guidebook for this deep dive is, well, it's called The Venture Mindset, fittingly enough.
Catchy title by Ilya, Strebulaev, and Alex Dang.
Yes. And they break down how those VCs make these, well, kind of high-stakes decisions. And trust me, there's some real gold in here.
Definitely some eye-opening stuff.
One of the things that really struck me early on was this whole concept of the one big win.
Okay, I'm intrigued. One big win.
So picture this: a venture capitalist invests in, say, 20 different startups. Statistically speaking, only one of those is likely to be a massive breakout success.
Okay, so a 1 in 20 chance. Those are some tough odds.
They are. But here's the thing. That one success, that unicorn, is likely to be a 10x, maybe even a 100x return on their investment.
Wow, so it's all about finding that one needle in the haystack.
Exactly. And that's the cornerstone of how VCs operate. They embrace calculated risk, knowing that, yeah, those ventures won't become the next Google.
Right.
But that one unicorn, that one massive win, will more than compensate for any losses along the way.
Okay, that makes sense for a VC with a portfolio of companies, but how does that translate to the rest of us? Most of us aren't juggling 20 different startups.
That's a great point. It's about shifting our perspective on failure.
Oh, I like where you're going with this.
What if, instead of being terrified of failing, we embraced those smaller, quicker stumbles as learning opportunities?
Fail fast, fail often.
Exactly. Each miss, each time something doesn't work out, it brings us one step closer to that one big win that could change everything. And it's not just about accepting failure, it's about learning from it.
Okay, so give me an example. How has that played out in the real world?
Think about Amazon's Fire Phone.
Oh yeah, wasn't that a bit of a flop?
Massive flop. But here's the thing. The same guy who led that project, Ian Freed, also spearheaded the development of the Echo.
Amazon's smart speaker, the one that's like everywhere now.
That's the one. And the lessons learned from the Fire Phone's failure directly fueled the Echo's success. They took those lessons and turned them into a game changer.
So it's not really a failure if you learn from it, it's more like a stepping stone.
Right, that's exactly it. And that actually ties into another key concept from the book, the prepared mind.
Okay, I like the sound of that. A prepared mind. What's the secret? Meditation, brain training.
Not quite, though I'm sure those things don't hurt. VCs are constantly researching, networking, and forming hypotheses about what's next.
So they're always thinking ahead, not just reacting to what's happening now, but trying to anticipate the future.
Yes, this constant learning and exploration, it's what allows them to spot those golden opportunities when everyone else just sees, well, an opportunity.
Okay, so it's about more than just having your ear to the ground. You have to be actively looking for those signals, connecting the dots.
Think of Samir Gandhi, the VC who invested early in Dropbox.
Dropbox. Now that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Right. Now, it might seem like he just got lucky, right place, right time. But it was his deep knowledge of the tech landscape, particularly the file sharing space.
I see.
That's what allowed him to recognize Dropbox's potential way before it was obvious to everyone else. He had that prepared mind.
He was ahead of the curve. So that's what prepared mind is all about, being so deeply immersed in a field that you develop an almost sixth sense for spotting those emerging trends, those game-changing innovations.
Yes, and that's what gets me excited. What's your prepared mind topic? What are you deeply curious about, maybe even a little obsessed with?
Oh man, so many things. But I guess the one that's really grabbed my attention lately is, well, we can save that for another time.
Fair enough, but I love that. Everyone listening, what's your thing? It can give you a real edge in your world. And speaking of, that whole prepared mind thing, it reminds me of Alexander Fleming's discovery of penicillin.
Wait, are you saying penicillin was discovered because of a prepared mind? I always thought it was a happy accident.
Well, it wasn't just luck. His years of research on antiseptic substances, that's what prepared his mind to recognize the significance of that mold on his petri dish.
Wow, that's a great example. So he was ready to see the opportunity that others might have missed.
Exactly. Okay, so we've talked about embracing failure, developing a prepared mind. But here's the thing. Even with all that preparation, VCs still say no a lot.
Really?
A lot. Like for every investment they make, they've probably reviewed over 100 other deals and said no to them.
Wow, over 100. That seems, I don't know, a little extreme.
It sounds crazy,
Right.
but it's not about being negative. It's about, well, it's about ruthless prioritization, I guess you could say.
Ruthless.
Or maybe a better word is strategic prioritization. Saying yes to everything would spread their resources way too thin. So they've become masters at making those tough decisions
Yeah.
quickly, which, let's be honest, is something we could all benefit from.
I'd love to master that skill. How do they do it?
That's what's so interesting. They develop systems. When you think about your own to-do list, your projects, even just your social calendar, where could a little more of that strategic no come in handy?
Oh, everywhere. Everywhere in my life, for sure.
Right. And you know, it makes me think of that story about RHD, the company behind those massive Yellow Pages books. Remember those?
Yeah. Just let your fingers do the walking.
Exactly. They were so successful for so long, they completely missed the boat on the internet. And by the time they tried to pivot, it was too late.
Ouch. I bet that was a tough pill to swallow. But it really drives home the point that saying no can be just as important as saying yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Especially when it frees you up to focus on what truly matters. And speaking of what matters, VCs have, well, they have a bit of an obsession with jockeys, their term for the founding team of a startup.
It makes sense when you really think about it. I mean, a brilliant idea is worthless without the right people to actually execute it.
Totally. You need that team, that driving force to make it a reality.
Exactly. And VCs, they know this. That's why they look beyond just the product, beyond even the market size sometimes. And they really zero in on the team's potential.
So it's not enough to have a killer idea. You need a killer team that can adapt.
Pivot.
Yes. And find that path to success, even when it takes, a few unexpected turns.
Because it always does, right? The plan never survives contact with the enemy, or I guess in this case, the market.
Right. And a great example of this, of the team being paramount, is Eric Schmidt joining Google.
Interesting. I didn't know that story.
It wasn't the product that hooked him.
Yeah.
He's actually admitted he wasn't even a big user at the time.
Really?
It was the raw talent. The vision of Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the founders. He saw their potential and knew, I got to get in on this.
It's about recognizing that talent, that spark, that drive.
It is. And that's something we can all apply to our own lives, right?
Absolutely.
Think about the teams we're building, whether it's
Right.
for a work project, a volunteer group, even just your personal support system.
It's those people you lean on who have your back.
Exactly. Are we surrounding ourselves with people who can weather those inevitable storms and come out stronger on the other side?
People who challenge you, push you to be better.
Yes. Because a great team, it's not just about surviving those challenges.
Right.
It's about using them as fuel to reach even greater heights. Which actually brings us to another really crucial piece of this whole VC mindset puzzle.
Okay, lay it on me.
Incentives. Understanding the power of incentives.
Oh, this is good. Incentives are huge. You got to get those right.
We touched on this a bit earlier with, remember, the Venetian merchant, Zaccharia Stagnario.
Yeah. The OG venture capitalist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that whole idea of creating pie-growing incentives, where everyone's success is tied together.
Everyone wins.
Yes. It's so central to how these VCs operate.
Okay.
It's not just about individual wins.
Right.
It's about creating a system where everyone's motivated to make the whole pie, the whole enterprise, wildly successful.
And that's where the magic happens, right? When everyone's pulling in the same direction.
Exactly. And it's not just about the money either.
Yeah, for
sure.
sure. It's got to be more than that.
VCs, they're masters at fostering a culture of shared ownership, where everyone feels invested in the company's success, not just their own paycheck.
So how do they do that? How do they create that kind of environment?
Well, they recognize and reward contributions. They create opportunities for growth and development. And I think most importantly, they build an environment where everyone feels heard.
It's about respect, isn't it? Valuing everyone's contributions.
Yes, it's about building a team where everyone feels like they're truly, playing for the same team, not just for themselves.
Okay, so we've got embracing failure, having that prepared mind, building a strong team, aligning incentives. What else? What other secrets are they hiding?
Oh, there are more. There are definitely more. But you know what? I think it's a good time to circle back to something we discussed earlier, because it ties directly into this whole team building, culture creating piece. The power of saying no.
Oh, right. Saying no. We talked about that.
Remember, it's not just about freeing up your time and your resources.
Right.
It's also about staying true to your vision, your values.
protecting what's important so you don't get pulled in a million different directions.
Exactly. It's like that saying, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And that goes for, well, it goes for opportunities, for projects, even for people that we bring into our inner circle.
You have to be choosy. You can't say yes to everything.
And when we're clear about our goals, our values, it becomes a lot easier to say no to the things that don't align, even if they seem tempting in the moment.
Shiny object syndrome gets us all.
It really does. And when you think about it, that clarity,
Yeah.
it's absolutely essential for building a strong team, right? If everyone's on the same page about the big picture, the shared goals, the values.
It's like having a shared compass.
Yes.
Yeah.
It creates this level of trust and alignment that is just so powerful.
And it makes those tough decisions, those no decisions, a little bit easier, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's less about second guessing yourself and more about, trusting your gut. But a gut that's been, well fed with information and experience.
Intuition. Love it.
And you know what? That confidence, it's contagious.
Oh, for sure.
When you project that sense of certainty in your decisions, it inspires confidence in your team. And that creates a much more decisive, action-oriented culture overall.
It's about leading by example, really.
Yeah.
Showing your team that you're not afraid to make tough calls, to take risks.
Exactly. And speaking of risks and, navigating that uncharted territory, that leads us perfectly into our next topic. How these principles, this whole venture mindset, can help us embrace the unknown. So much of what we've been talking about, it really boils down to embracing uncertainty, right? Making those bold moves, even when you're not 100% sure what the future holds.
It's scary, right? The unknown, but that's where the real magic happens.
Exactly. And that's what those VCs, those venture capitalists, they've figured out how to not just survive in that world, but thrive in it.
It's like their superpower, isn't it? Embracing the unknown.
It is. So how do they do it? What's their secret sauce?
Well, it goes back to that whole prepared mind thing, but with a bit of a twist.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's not just about being knowledgeable about the present, it's about actively trying to anticipate the future. They're constantly scanning the horizon.
Okay, so they're not just reacting to what's happening now. They're trying to figure out what's coming next.
Exactly. It's like having a crystal ball, almost.
But seriously, how do they do that?
Well, it's not magic, although sometimes it seems like it. It's about being so deeply immersed in their fields that they develop this almost sixth sense for what's next.
Okay, so they're reading everything, talking to everyone, going to every conference.
Exactly. They're like sponges, soaking up information from every possible source.
Right. I can barely keep up with my inbox. But, okay, so they're gathering all this information, but then what? Information overload is a real thing. How do they even make sense of it all?
That's where the hypothesis-driven part comes in.
Okay, so they're not just passively taking it all in.
No, they're actively using that information to form hypotheses about the future.
So they're saying, what if this happens? What if this trend continues?
Exactly. What if this technology takes off? What if this societal shift accelerates? They're connecting the dots, spotting those patterns.
It reminds me of, remember that story about RHD, the Yellow Pages company? And how they completely missed the internet wave.
Oh yeah, a classic example of what happens when you're not paying attention.
They were so focused on their existing success that they just, they failed to see the disruptive force that was brewing right there on the horizon.
And VCs, they're wired differently. They know that the next big thing is often lurking just around the corner, and they're constantly looking for it.
Which brings us back to this idea of long-term thinking. They're not just thinking about the next quarter, the next year.
They're playing the long game, and that really influences everything they do.
Exactly. Think about companies like SpaceX and Tesla. They're revolutionizing entire industries, but it didn't happen overnight.
Not even close. It took years, sometimes decades of research, of development, of setbacks to get where they are today.
Years of pouring their heart and soul into an idea that most people probably thought was crazy at the time.
But they had that long-term vision, that unwavering belief in the potential of what they were building.
It's like planting a seed, right? A seed that might take years to grow into a mighty oak tree.
You need that long-term vision, that unwavering belief to weather the storms, to stay the course.
And you know what else I love about this whole venture mindset thing? It's not just about making money.
No, it's about something bigger than that.
It's about making a difference in the world. It's about using those same principles, that embracing risk, that thinking big, that building amazing teams.
To tackle some of the biggest challenges we're facing.
Yes. It's about creating a better future, not just for ourselves, but for everyone.
And that's a mission we can all get behind, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Whether we're entrepreneurs, investors, or just, everyday people who want to make a positive impact.
We can all embrace that venture mindset. It's about asking ourselves, what if? What if we could change the world?
This has been such an inspiring conversation. Who knew that we could learn so much from venture capitalists?
And you know what? It's not really about being a VC, is it?
No, not at all.
It's about tapping into that mindset, those principles, that spirit of innovation.
That willingness to challenge the status quo, that relentless pursuit of a better tomorrow. Beautifully said. And on that note, to everyone listening, here's a final thought. What's your unicorn?
What's that big, audacious goal that's been simmering in the back of your mind?
What's that seed of an idea that you've been maybe a little bit afraid to plant? Don't be afraid to embrace that venture mindset, to take some calculated risks, to surround yourself with amazing people.
And never, ever give up on your dreams.
I love it. That's a wrap on this deep dive into the venture mindset. We hope you've learned a ton and feel inspired to unlock your own potential. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep reaching for those stars.